Hello and welcome to yesterday's Airlines. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Super Jumbo. We're going to be taking a look at the Airbus A380 in 400 scale, and as you can see in the background, the main reason for me doing this now is because of the new Aviation 400 A380, for which I have a sample. Previously, I have to admit, A380s have not been a key component of my fleet. They don't really fit into my collection criteria, except for a couple, like this House Colours and also China Southern. The all Nippon one on the left was sent to me by jcwings. Doesn't really fit with my collection criteria, but it is a very nice model. And anyway, so the idea of this video is to take a look around the three modern Airbus A380 molds in use, which is on the left, the jcwings Gemini mould on the right, the Phoenix mould, and in the background the yet to be released Aviation 400 mould. Have a look around those and see kind of what competition the AV400 is going to bring, and have a general look and compare the molds like I do on the website yesterdaysairlines.com. And talking about that, obviously, please like and subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram at Yesterday Airlines. Check out the website, which has got a huge amount of information about 400 scale models. And check me out on Facebook too, because I post a lot there as well. So I'm around in all these channels. Please follow my work if you enjoy the videos. And let's get on and take a look at these Airbus A380 molds. So the model which you see in front of you is an all Nippon release from jcwings that was made last year. So it's a very modern release. Having said that, the mold itself is not that new, and I think dates from way before 2010, though it has obviously been updated with things like rolling gear and antenna since then. It's a decent mold, but it is, I think, unquestionably the weakest of the two existing competing A380 molds, primarily because of one area, and that is the nose shape. And if we take a look at the aircraft from the side and we compare it to the Phoenix example, you can see that the shape of the area around the cockpit and moving down the nose has never really been correct on the jcwings version. It's not appalling, but it is not as good as that shown on the Phoenix. So I think for most people, it has been the Phoenix, which has been the A380 of choice, primarily because of that nose issue. And if you look around the rest of the mold here for this, then it's actually a nice mold. You've got quite a good seam or seamless wing join here, though there's a little bit of a gap there at the rear. Underside, it's also very nice, and there's some good detailing on the bottom of the model as well. And generally the shape of the wings and the way that they attach is good, and the shape of the fuselage works very nicely as well. Haven't got any major concerns really about the back end of the aircraft, and there's some nice detailing here at the APU too. But that's actually pretty good APU area and tail cone. And obviously it always helps when you see a finished model like this, and it looks a lot better than it would if it was just the sample, which we obviously have for the AV400 at the moment. Now, one of the things that is perhaps less good is the undercarriage itself. You can see it's relatively simple undercarriage here, and I'm sure the nose gear door's a little bit small too. The main gear is, however, pretty good and pivots quite nicely. Also moves forward and backwards like on the old Gemini 747s. And another feature of this, or perhaps not a feature, is the fact that it's got solid core engines. The engines have not been modified, so they are solid core. So it's not a bad A380 mold by any stretch of the imagination, but I think if you were going to give this a score out of 10, then I probably, it's going to be coming in at a 7 maybe. Mainly because of the nose shape not being quite correct and some of the older features. there. But otherwise, generally, it looks pretty good. It's also very heavy, I might add, because this is a standard kind of zinc die-cast mould, and it weighs a ton. The same cannot be said of the main competitor to that mould, which is the Phoenixmodel. And you see, I can just pick this up with the end of my fingers because it's so light. I think this is made of aluminium, and that means that the mould itself is so much lighter and easy to carry, which is quite nice actually, in a sense. Like it must make postage a bit cheaper for such a big model, and just makes it a lot easier to move the aircraft around. However, it does mean also that the mould has a bit of a problem, which you can see just about here, and that's not just this particular model that I have that has it. I see it on the majority of Phoenix A380s. The nose gear doesn't sit on the ground because it's just not heavy enough. You feel the mould is just not heavy enough, or the gear leg isn't long enough. But I think it's just the fact that it should be like that, but just isn't quite sitting on it. So that's I guess it's quite a minor thing, but it is a bit annoying that it doesn't sit level, and that's, as I say, seems to be fairly standard for Phoenix A380s. Having said that, as I've already stated, when you look across the entire model, then the nose form here is really good. Phoenix, this is probably one of Phoenix's remaining excellent molds. Most of their stuff is quite old and has been overtaken by other brands, and it's not many of their molds I would say are world class anymore. This A380 is one of the few that probably could be considered to be best in class at the present time. It's got some nice detailing. Obviously you can see they've got a bit of dust there, but they've got aerials, and they've got the built-in dome. They've got a really nice fuselage joint here. It's got some really nice detailing, and it's got a better nose gear leg than the jcwings 2, I would say, and a better nose gear doors too, and that kind of continues when you look around the rest of the aircraft. It's got good undercarriage here as well, though I would say that the spacing here between the tyres on the main gear is quite large. Quite a big gap between tyres there, which I don't think is fully accurate, so that's a minor point of complaint. Moving to the front, and again, this is also a solid core mould. I think this mould too dates from before 2010 originally, though again, it's been updated, I'm sure. But I don't think that even the new Phoenix A380s have see-through engines. So again, you've got solid core engines. There's some detailing, but it's not spectacular. Otherwise, the shape of the engines is quite good. No drastic issues there either. And moving to the rear of the aircraft, again, I think you've got a good shape here on the tail, and a decent but not spectacular APU here. The pipe and the shape here is not quite as sharp, and the pipe isn't perhaps quite as long as it might be. It's not quite as nice as maybe on the jcwings in the area. But overall, I would say that this mould is superior to the jcwings effort, mainly, as I've said, because of those issues at the nose. But it's not perfect because it doesn't sit flat. It's got solid core engines. The tail cone is a tiny, bit not as good as it might be. So I'd say this one is better. It's still scoring probably, if I had to score it, probably an 8, maybe a 9 at times. But it is a better mould than the jcwings, which nonetheless has some nice features too. So those are the two existing A380s. There aren't as many A380 releases nowadays as there used to be, certainly. Obviously the aircraft is very much out of fashion and no longer in production, but it is still a very charismatic aircraft, and one that I think will sell well in 400 scale. So it's not too surprising, I guess, that AV400 have come along and decided that they will introduce their own Airbus A380, and the fact that there haven't been any new moulds for more than a decade kind of validates their decision somewhat, when they can add in new features, new technology to make the mould work nicely. Now, I have to say, that this new Aviation 400 A380 is very much in the weight category of the jcwings. They're both heavy, they're both very weighty, full zinc ones. They're not like the thin aluminium, which is being used on the Phoenix. So it's a much heavier model. Whether that matters to you or not, I don't really know. It's not really something that's important, but obviously, as I saw before, that certainly helps it sit level. So there's no problem with this sitting on its undercarriage, unlike the floppy Phoenix one over here, which I'll just move out of the way. So I would say that in some ways, the new AV400 mould takes the best features of the Phoenix mould and some of the best features of the jcwings mould and kind of puts them together. It's got a very nice nose shape, which is very much matching with what we have seen on the Phoenix. If I can put them both together, you can see they both look very nice at the nose. I would say that the undercarriage on the new AV400 is superior to that on the Phoenix. If I can get this to lift up without, no I can't without the nose carriage coming out. You can kind of see anyway if I maybe zoom in here. But the detailing on the gear leg is better on the new AV400. Those two little prongs are further down away from the gear door, which is more accurate, and there's just a slightly nicer shape to the gear leg itself. So I think that's definitely better. Similarly, in the main gear area, if we do pick this up and look at the spacing of the tyres here, and compare that to the spacing on the tyres here, you can see that the spacing on the AV400 mould is better. I think the tyres are looking better, they're closer together as the way they ought to be. So I think that overall the landing gear is an improvement on the AV400, even before you get to the point that it's removable. Whether that matters to you or not is kind of, up to you really, but accuracy does matter to me, even if removing the landing gear doesn't. So the fact that it's a slightly better, more accurate landing gear, I think is nicer. And the rest of the mould generally fits in very well. Obviously, the other thing that you get with this modern mould that from the AV400 stable is that you get the see-through fan blades, and which also rotate. So that's really nice. Rotating fan blades. And they have a very nice look and feel. So you get a lot better engine detail here than you do on, obviously, an older mould with solid core engines, especially when they just paint them completely black. But these are relatively minor features, so I would say that when you look at the AV400 A380 in detail, it has all the best features of, as I said, the Phoenix mould, but also has that little bit extra. Slightly better undercarriage, slightly better engines. It's heavier, so it sits down properly. And if I had to score this mould out of 10, then I think it would be scoring slightly better than the Phoenix, probably a 9 to 10 maybe. It's certainly up there. So when you look at the three competing moulds, it's clear that the jcwings mould, which is still produce a very nice model like this all Nippon, is the weakest and has been for some time of the three. The Phoenix is still a very worthy A380 and a good competitor, and doesn't have any major issues other than the fact it doesn't sit on its landing gear very nicely. Certainly much easier to pick up and move around. And then you've got the new AV400, which looks like it's got all the potential to be the best in class, as you would expect from a mould made in 2022. So that's a quick look around what we've got for Airbus A380s. Obviously, there have been other A380 models that have been made by Dragon Wings and Magic Models and such, but they tend to be hard to find, or so old that they've all zinc rotted to hell, or just not very good. So I'm just ignoring those, and I don't own any of them anyway, and they're all rather unimportant for the market. So when it comes to A380s in 2022, it really is, I think, a showdown between these three moulds. Clearly, the AV400 is in a good place to be the best of these Airbus A380s, as long as AV400 actually get their releases out within a reasonable timescale. So we'll see where they go with that. It'll be nice to see some re-releases of previous A380s, because I imagine that pretty much every single scheme has been made at some point by other manufacturers. And I guess the question is for existing collectors, is this new mould good enough to actually require you to replace old A380s? I'm not in that boat really. I've only got a couple of A380s, so there's not a lot of replacement required, but I will be getting a China Southern version when one is made, and I'll probably pick up a couple of others as well, because I'm really liking the mould, and you know, big chunky 400 scale models look really good and are great models to entice people into looking at your collection. Okie doke, well that's a quick look around the A380s. Thank you very much for watching. As per usual, stay tuned to yesterday's Airlines for more sample models. I hope to be getting a copy of the TU154 from ngmodels in the near future. So when I do, obviously I'll be writing copy on that as well. And I like to keep abreast of all the news. So if you want to find out what's going on in 400 scale, follow my channels. Thanks very much for watching, guys. See you later.